Hello, I am Oliver Browne, the founder of True Summit Adventures and the host of this podcast. I've been super fortunate the last few years to have met some amazing adventure athletes, and they're going to be coming on this podcast and talking about what they've been up to, what it means to them, the successes, the failures, the tragedies even. So I hope it'll be interesting. I hope it'll be insightful, and I hope you enjoy. Let's dive in. Okay, Karl, thank you so much for being the second guest on the True Summit podcast. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here. David Gottler, who was the first guest, was very excited to hear you were on second. So I think it's true to say you are the alpinist and someone that is very highly regarded as being at the top of their game. So where to start? There's so many things to ask you. The speed climbs, obviously, but should we start with Makalu since it's been so recent?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm really honored, Oliver, to be the second guest. And of course, after just David Gottler were there, where I also follow and admire a lot. Actually, congrats, David, for your achievements. If you are going to hear the podcast, it's just amazing. And yeah, why not? Talk about Makalu, probably one of the toughest projects I've ever done in my life. So it's still very fresh. I still feel a lot. I still think about it. And yeah, definitely something that we wanted to do since we were very little, since we were kids, because my father was a guide. So we always had in our living room a huge picture about Himalayas. And I remember I was asking him all the time, like, Dad, why did you never go there? And he always respond like, this is just very difficult. It's very expensive. It's very tough and everything. So I said to him, since I was a kid, I'm going to make it. One day I will be there, Dad, for you and for me. And well, of course, I'm not the youngest anymore, but this dream came through. And of course, standing there on the base of one of the five tallest mountains in the world, for us it was very expensive to be there, so we said we have to do something very spectacular. We have to be here and just crash it from the beginning and just see how our bodies feel up there. How is it going to be like to make a single push from base camp, summit base camp? Is it possible? Is it not possible? And of course, together with Nicolas, who is my rope partner, my mountain partner, is a very close friend in my private life also. We knew that our bodies don't know how they're going to feel over Aconcagua summit, because we have never made something higher than that. So we never knew how the body is going to feel at 7,000 plus. And we had a lot of respect, especially sleeping over 7,000 meters. So it was definitely for us an amazing experience. Also trying clothing, also trying nutrition, also seeing how weak and slowly the body recovers in altitude. This is definitely something that I thought it's going to be tough, but I really did not think it's going to be so tough. Like sometimes being 5 days in base camp and you still feel like non-recovered at all after 5 days being there, and never having like a pleasant sleep and sleeping over all night and being really hungry. And yeah, it's difficult to have a life at 6,000 meters and making the rotations and coming back and kind of recovering fast and everything. So it was an amazing school for me, and we made a good job. So definitely we are very motivated. We are scared also about how expensive Himalayas are. This is, of course, something that it's also a different league. But I think the first homework, if we can tell it this way, was done. And so right now my focus on Everest is big. Yeah, but Makalu at all, I'm so happy, and probably going to ask me, why Makalu? Why not another mountain? And
first question on the list. I mean, why Makalu? And I mean, just going back to what you were saying, firstly about the ages, you're 1 year older than me. I like to think that we're coming into the best years for endurance sports. 40 to 45 is the best years. So it's all still ahead. exciting thing. I mean, in terms of this climb, it's amazing how many different things you're doing, because you're doing an 8,000, you're doing it without supplemental oxygen, and you're doing it in one push. So that combination of things is really unbelievable. But why don't you tell us why Makalu?
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for your compliments. Well, I think Makalu came just over our way, because it's not that we planned to go to Makalu. We wanted to go to Everest, but it was very expensive. So we thought we should do another mountain, but it should be a big mountain. It should be probably one of the 5 tallest ones. And as a coincidence, on December last year, Adrian Ballinger and his team, they were in Ecuador. And I was guiding some people for his group. And then we came together, and he said like, Karl, you should come with us to Makalu. And I said like, wow, sounds good. And then we sat together, and it made me, it was a huge motivation that Topomena, it was going to join us too, and Carla Perez, which we have a very nice relationship here in Ecuador. So we thought this is going to be kind of very nice to do an Ecuador team there, and just to hold together and learn from them a lot. And this is how Makalu came in our way. But the story is actually, I believe a lot in destiny. And, you know, Nicolas, for example, he always said that one day, whenever this day will come, he would love to touch once Makalu, because it was a name in his head, and we had kind of this name all the time. And just as soon as we mentioned him, he said like, this is our destiny. Makalu is the mountain we have to go. And when we were standing there, and we saw there were no so many people up there, and their road was not that easy as other mountains, and everything made it even much nicer. Like you have to think as an alpinist, you are sometimes alone there. Actually, we summited absolutely alone on Makalu, and we were a couple of times opening trail, helping also to carry some rope, and this made it special, something that probably you won't have this experience on Everest or other mountains, which became very commercial. But this one definitely was all I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, technical complexity and isolation are two. I can see exactly what the attraction is. What was it? Everything that you hoped it would be? How did you feel? Was it obviously it was hard, but you were expecting it to be hard? Was there ever a point where you were like, I can't do this, or you were kind of within yourself? You were always within your own ability. You felt comfortable, or just describe what it was like.
Well, first of all, I'm a mountain guide, and normally when I'm out there in expeditions, I'm kind of controlling the time. That means like, we are going to do this rotation, we're going to stay. And when you are in front of an 8,000 meter peak, what you need is patience, and you cannot control time. So sometimes you have to wait until temperatures rise, and until the conditions are optimal and everything. And this is something that I had to learn, because as soon as we arrived there in April, we just wanted to summit the mountain as soon as possible, but it was not possible. It was too cold. The conditions were not good. So actually 50% of the success on Himalayas is your patience. And if you don't have this patience, you can just run out of energy, or just, or you kind of can have a lot of problems with your acclimatization if you kind of jump over steps or jump over rotation. So the first thing we did with Nicolas is recognize the road. We actually arrived on Camp 4 as the very first humans that season. After us, the Sherpa team came along that day. And when we were standing on Camp 4, we were for the first time breathing this 7,700 meter altitude, and struggling for the first time, seeing like you cannot control your body anymore. Like everything is in slow motion, and you wanted to keep pushing, and there was no energy. You were passing your hand in front of your face, and everything was slowing down. You were hungry, but as soon as you were eating, it was so difficult to eat. And we saw each other. We said like, yeah, we are in the dead zone. This is the dead zone. On the end, welcome to the web dead zone. I don't want to spend much time up here. And then we saw from Camp 4 that it looks so close to the summit, but it's so far away on hours, on effort, and everything. So the respect started in Camp 4, and we said, okay, for a single push, we definitely need to be good acclimatized, at least at this altitude, but we don't want to sleep at this altitude at all. I'm not a lover or of sleeping high. I prefer to climb a lot but sleep low, and because I don't sleep in a certain altitude, and Nicolas neither, and probably David is going to say you exactly the same. We prefer to climb a lot but return, or in the starting point or even lower, where you can really recover your body. We have a low pulse training so much. So at night, when you are up there at 6.5 or even higher, you start to kind of drawing at night, like, and this is something that makes you scary. And I prefer to sleep lower and climb the same road once again the next day. But yeah, having a recovered body. So when we returned from Camp 4 down to base camp, we said, okay, next time we have to touch the 8,000 meter border. And this difference between Camp 4 and 8,000 meter were just 300 meters. They were like an entire marathon distance. There was like, woof, like every single 100 meters came like if you were running out there an entire marathon, and the hours were passing and you thought you are a speed climber, but you were so slow. And then of course opening trail and having the snow until your knees, and then say, okay, carrying loads and no oxygen, everyone passing you next where they were wearing oxygen, breathing on oxygen. And I was pretty jealous. And this is tough to see others like breathing on the tank, and you are just there, suffering like a dog. But on the end, you are doing that for fun. So on the end, you have to just to enjoy it. And then on the first time we arrived to 8,000 meters, conditions, they were not good. We were already very late. It was so hot that we never expected, like sweating at 8,000 meters, taking the down suit off. And I thought like we are really sick with altitude, because I never imagined to be sweating at 8,000 meters. So when we came down, we decided we should stay at least 5 days on base camp to recover. And then Adrian came by and said like, guys, in 2 days, the window is going to be optimal. And I said like, 2 days, this is impossible. Our body will not be recovered at all. We still were feeling the tired legs and everything. And he said like, the problem is that after that day, every single day, 20%, the wind will increase. So we said, okay, we don't want to do this a kind of a single push attempt with, I don't know how much wind up there. It's too dangerous. And he said, I'm going for the summit in 2 days with the Sherpa team. They're going to open the trail until the summit, because it wasn't done. So we said, this is the good timing to do it. They're going to be there. So if something goes wrong, they will be there. And with Nico, we decided, okay, probably we will be tired, but there will be, our team will be around, and we will be probably the first to summit the mountain that day after almost 3 days, no summiters on Makalu. So it's special. And then we decided to go tired and everything out there, and everything was going perfectly. We arrived on Camp 2, Camp 3, and then on Camp 3, and then a blackout came, a whiteout came. It was so windy, so cold, and this was the very first time I thought, today it's not the day. And on Camp 3, the Adrian's team was tenting, and they gave us some coffee. I'm a huge coffee lover, by the way. I'm a huge coffee lover. I drink a lot of coffee.
Very good coffee comes from Ecuador, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yes. And Nico too. Actually, Nico has his own brand here in Ecuador. So
from Loja.
I love coffee.
Loja is the best coffee.
And Café de Loja, exactly, the best coffee. And then when we passed Camp 3 to Camp 4, it took us double as long as the first attempt, because we could not find the road. and the fixed ropes, they were under snow, so we could not find them. And on the end, when we arrived on Camp 4, we were kind of 1 hour behind schedule, and I'm there very Swiss. I'm there like a training timetable, and I know exactly where I have to be at what time. And then I was kind of worried about time. And then we saw that the first climbers already arrived to the summit. They summited, and the very first climber was Adrian, and they were in the radios, and they said, "Hey, Karl, Nico, where are you guys?" And we said, "We are on Camp 4. We did base camp 4 in 8 hours." And he said, like, "Yeah, you are bastards, but you have to push right now because the wind is coming in, and it's time to push right now." And I said, like, "Yeah, push at the dead zone. Okay, how does it work?" And then we start climbing and climbing and climbing. The road was absolutely gone. There was no path. And after we arrived on 8,200 meters, where the French couloir starts, Adrian came down with the skis, and we were struggling there because the wind was so tough, and we could not see, no visibility at all. There was not even a human being in the last 9 hours we saw on the mountain. And then Adrian came down as the very first human we saw that day. And he said, like, "Guys, you should turn around. The weather is not that good." And we said, like, "We're going to push a little bit longer, and we keep you informed. If the weather is not going to change, we're going to turn around. Don't worry. We are both mountain guides. We know what we do." And he said, like, "Good luck. I will be hearing everything on the radio." And I said, "Okay, thanks, Adrian." And then we looked at each other, Nico and me, and we said, like, "Okay, 5 more minutes. If the weather does not change, we go down, because it doesn't make any sense to continue this way. We're gonna have freeze, we're gonna have frostbites, and we have been out there 9-10 hours, so it's time to take a decision." And Nico said, "I have a good feeling. 5 more minutes and we take a decision." And then something very particular happened. We walked 5 minutes, probably the worst in my entire life. I could not even look up. It was so windy. It was so wet. It was the snow was so fast flying on the air that I had cuts on my skin. So I was putting both hands in front of my head, and they were like knives going around. And I said, like, I cannot keep doing this. And after 5 minutes, Oliver, it opened up. Woof. And the wind was gone, and it was sunny, and the energy, it was someone calling us, like, "Guys, you are very welcome." And we said, like, this is gonna be a dream. Are you seeing the same, Nicolas? It's open, it's gone. It's like, or I don't know, I'm already dead. What happened? And he said, like, "No, this is our window." And then we went up in sunny weather, no wind, no gloves, absolutely amazing weather. Probably the only day you have in 1 year calendar. And we were up there at the summit. We did 17 hours, 18 minutes to the summit. And then we were full of joy, full of tears. I could not control my emotions. It was the very first time ever I touched one of those roofs on the wall. I saw Everest just in front of us. A lot of feelings came in. We were the very only ones up there when we summited. So we were on the summit ridge, and all the last climb to the summit absolutely alone there. So it was nice. And then, of course, we were a bit worried, because normally it opens up before the storm comes in, and we already saw kind of the black sky coming to us, and we said, "Okay, right now, hurry up." But you are in the dead zone, like, hurry up in the dead zone. And then it was, I felt so strong when I was on the summit. I did videos, I did some amazing pictures and everything. But as soon as I started descending, I felt so weak. And I had to stop every 5 minutes, and I was struggling with my sleep. And Nicolas was pushing me and saying, like, come on, we should hurry up. And I said, yeah, but I'm sleeping. I was drinking coffee, and I was drinking Coca-Colas. I was drinking everything, power gels with caffeine inside, and everything came out. Boof, boof. So my body was struggling with the nutrition. And probably from the summit to Camp 4 was the worst part I felt. And then as soon as we touched Camp 4, there were some Georgians, and they were so nice to us. They had already tea for us and some chocolate and everything. And then as soon as we were descending, the body was of course tired, but feeling better and better. And then we would touch Camp 2. We said, okay, Nico, we are going to write history, because we are not going to sleep in any camp until we arrive to base camp. So nobody has done it so far, base camp, summit, base camp, without sleeping in any camps. So I know we are so tired, but right now we are so close. And then, yeah, it's difficult to describe how difficult it was to walk without sleeping, especially from Camp 2 to base camp, because the night came in. So the eyes were closing automatically. And so we were looking to each other to kind of waking up and kind of singing loud and making some noise and everything. Well, probably you know that as an endurance athlete, that you're struggling a lot. And then we made it to base camp. And I remember the first thing I did in base camp was, I'm going to write with my InReach to my wife that we are okay. And then I want to sleep like the next 7 days. Don't wake me up. And Nico said, it's time to eat. You have to eat. And then whatever you want, it's okay, but we have to eat. And then we had a soup together. And then I slept with the same clothing I was on the summit. I just took my boots off and I said, like, yeah, it's time to sleep. And I slept like a baby. And the next day I woke up, I kind of realized what we did. And then the messages came in, and media came in and everything. And the ball started to roll. And we kind of figure out what we did, because at the beginning it was just the month, and we did it and we came back and that's it. But we didn't know it's going to get so viral. It was history. It was a new world record to do it up and down in one push and everything. So the feelings, they are amazing. And then we stayed 4 days there after everyone came down from the mountain and took the helicopter, because I wanted to be as fast as possible back home. We live on the other side of the world. So on the end, it was nice to have my family on my arms. And yeah, this is how it went.
Well, amazing. And I think it's justly deserved that you got the media attention, that you got the respect. I mean, it's 2 records. It's firstly the base camp to summit record, and then the second one that you said that no one had done base camp, summit, base camp in one push. So it's a unbelievable performance of patience, endurance, stamina. It's incredible. Tell us about Nicholas, because he was obviously there with you. You talking to him all the time. How did this partnership come about? Where did you guys meet, and what did you see in him that you thought would, for someone as an elite performer as you, it's hard to find the right partner. I mean, David talked about that, trying to find someone that matches you, that can go with you when you need to go, but also you get along with. How did that come about, and what did you see in him that you thought would make him a good partner for you?
Well, this is an amazing question, and thanks for asking, because Nico is probably my mentor. I was a professional cyclist, and I met Nicolas on racing. And he was a mountain biker too, but he always was a mountain guide. He always used to climb mountains with clients. And I was a mountain guide too, but I did not have the preparation. That means I did it kind of without certification. I just do it for fun. And he ran into me and he said, like, Karl, you should do your certification. You should kind of have this school and spend some time together, climb some amazing peaks together. And it was through Nicolas that we started to train as cyclists. We made a team as a mountain bikers, and then we started climbing together. This was 16 years ago already, and since then we had kind of the same feelings on the mountain. That means it's not necessary to talk. You just see the other and know what to do, what you have to do. It's difficult to describe. It's kind of that partner that knows what to do in what moment. And he's different than I am. And this is exactly what you need on a team, because if both would be exactly the same, it's not something that it's making you bigger or better. But Nicolas is the cold part of this team, and I'm the one who wants to go and wants to push and wants to risk. And he's the one who slows me down, and he says, like, it's not the day, you should wait and when I'm out there, he's the one motivating me and saying like, Karl, come on, today nobody can do it faster than you can do it. Go for it and push here and go. And so on the end, it's a great team we have made so far. And he's uncomplicated, he's simple, he can sleep on the bottom in any floor. If we have to spend the night in the airport without a hotel, he's not going to make a big thing about it. If we don't eat, it's not a big thing for him, because he grew up in very poor conditions. So he's a very humble man, and this is good. This is for me perfect, because like simplicity is sometimes something great in humans. And well, Nicolas, he teach me how to be a speed climber. He was the man who said to me, Karl, you should definitely climb Cotopaxi with me in speed version. And I asked him, like, what is that? I've never heard about speed climbing. So Nico teach me, and I broke the world record of Cotopaxi in his presence. That means we kind of made a race, and I was faster than him. And the first thing I said to him is, Nico, I don't want to lose your friendship, so let's keep it under us. And he said, like, no, the world has to know that you are a talent, and I've never seen something like that, and this is just the beginning. And I started to Google and see Kilian Jornet was out there, and all those amazing speed climbers were out there. And I said, like, okay, there is a world out there that I did not know. In Ecuador, probably you don't hear anything else than just soccer or football. So it was great, and this is how everything began. And then we figured out that I was faster. So Nico has been my support team on the 7 summits. He has been with me in all the mountains. He was the one taking care of my security, sometimes sleeping a day before on upper camps like Denali, that he started on camp 3 and I started on base camp, and I catched him on the summit. And he was on the radio saying, catch me, catch me, catch me, catch me. And I was like, I'm going to catch you. I'm going to catch you. I'm going to catch you. So he's a good pacer, and he knows what he does. And when we went out there to Himalayas, we said we should team up. I will go as fast as you go, but we're going to take care of each other, because it's really dangerous on the dead zone to be alone. And we decided to do it together. And also Everest, we want to do it together, just to perform better, that to be secure. We have families, we have kids, we want to come home. This is our biggest summit, and this is how we came together. And we work together also here in Ecuador. He guides with us, with me in Ecuador, and we train completely in different sides of the town. He lives on the other side of the town, so I don't see him every day, not even every week. But when we see each other, there's always this talking of what's next.
Yeah, well, I mean, was one of my next question was who brought you to the boils, so to speak, because, David had Galinda, Carlton Brunner, Simone Mora, Ule Steck, Kilian Jornet, and I was going to ask you who were the people that really brought you forward. But obviously Nicolas sounds like he was right there from the beginning. And what was the year that you exploded? Was this 2014 when you suddenly, this realization came that you could do these incredible things?
Well, Cotopaxi was 2012, but I did not believe I can make a living of speed climbing. And I was a cyclist. I was a full-time cyclist. And but I met my wife on 2013, and she said to me, like, you are living right now from a hobby that does not give you any money. That means you are racing every weekend, training like hell every week, and you don't have even a social security card. You don't have nothing else than just medals and trophies and being the #1 in Ecuador as a mountain biker. But you are 31 years old, Karl, looking through the mirror, and what's going to happen in the next 5 years? And she opened up my eyes, and I said, like, okay, Karl, this is kind of not professional sport. And I decided to make a sabbatical year, kind of asking for any open spot to guide anywhere in the world for a Swiss company, as I speak Swiss as my father's language. So they offered me a job on Kilimanjaro. And when I went there to Kilimanjaro, it was a funny story, because my clients came with me, and while we were walking from hut to hut, They came tired to the huts, and I said, it's time to rest. You should kind of sleep a bit. I'm going for a run. And they said, like, what? I'm going for a run where? And yeah, I'm going up to the summit to see how weather is, and I'm coming back for dinner. And they were laughing, and they said, this is not normal. And I said, like, yeah, but others smoke a cigar, others read a book, others watch a movie, and I'm going out there to run. And it was funny because the Africans came and said, like, Karl, it's forbidden to run here alone. You know that they're dangerous animals. You are in Africa. And I said, like, I'm not gonna hurt them, don't worry. And they said they're making a lot of jokes, and it was funny because nobody believed me. And then when I came down the very first time from the summit to have dinner with my clients, completely sweating, and I said, like, guys, you cannot imagine how beautiful the summit is. And they said, like, you're kidding me. And I said, no, look at these pictures. And they said, like, this is not normal at all. So I summited this the first week with my clients, like 3 other times, the summit by myself. And then when I came back to Switzerland, my boss said, Karl, we should talk. And I said, oh no, I'm going to lose my job. And he said, like, no, Karl, actually, I want to say this is just impressive what you do, you know, like the summit day with your clients, you just came down an hour before they had dinner and went out. And it's just amazing. So you never get tired, and you're running up to Kilimanjaro in 2 hours from the last camp in what people take 12 hours. And I said, like, yeah, but I'm not hurting anyone. And I was worried, like, auto protected. And they said, we want to sponsor you. We want to see you next year trying the speed record. And I said, like, speed record? How does it work? And they mentioned me for the first time, Kilian Jornet. They mentioned me for the first time that people run from the parking gate where people start their journey to Kilimanjaro in 6-7 days. Kilian did it in 7 hours, 40 minutes. And for me, it was like, wow, this is wow. And then I was Googling Kilian in the web, and yeah, I was blown away of his career. And I said, like, okay, this is kind of serious. It's not my mountains in Ecuador. This is like, you know, like, this is like playing soccer with Messi. And I said, like, yeah, but this is an opportunity, Karl. So I came back home and I started to run for the first time. I quit biking. I was trying to go jogging on the woods and going up to the mountains and trying to focus myself. And when I went there to Kilimanjaro, I had so many doubts on myself. I was like, okay, I'm racing against nobody, but on the same time against the biggest one in history in this sport. So there was a huge things going on my mind. And while I was running up there, I did so many mistakes, but because I was so nervous, I was wearing a cyclist jersey because I did not even have a trail running shirt. And I was making so many things that today I have to laugh. And when I arrived to the summit, I was 24 minutes below Kilian's time, and everyone was celebrating, and I was so scared because I know Kilian is probably one of the best descenders in the world. So I said, okay, 24 minutes, is there enough? And if not, it's already a new ascent, new record. And I said, no, this is not enough, go for it. And I started to go down like, yeah, if I have robbed something, like no technique at all, just as fast as I could. And I felt many times on the downhill, no, it was not very nice to see me going down because I was so fast. And when I arrived to the final gate of Kilimanjaro, I stopped the watch, and I saw it was 32 minutes faster than him. The very first thing I thought was, okay, they're going to hire me again for this mountain. I worked for them. I did what they asked me for. So probably they're going to hire me once again to Kilimanjaro. I was so naive, and I did not know that I was the very first man to beat one of Kilian's records in history. So as soon as that day was over, people called me from Spain, from media, from everywhere, and like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? And what do you eat? And this is Kilian, you know, this is not just a record, this is Kilian's record. So I was not kind of sure what I did, but as soon as I returned to Ecuador, I remember that the next one has to be Aconcagua to see the differences, because that was the only mountain I knew, and it was the only mountain I have guided before. So I was very focused on Aconcagua, and on Aconcagua I was an hour faster. And after Aconcagua, after Kilian did his record and I was an hour faster than Kilian, it came like a boom, and everyone said like, okay, who are you? When I returned from Aconcagua, it was a funny story, and I have to be very thankful to Kilian, because he was the very first who congratulated me on Twitter, putting my name on his social media, saying, Karl, records are to be broken. Follow this man. You just made something incredible. And from having 2 followers, my wife and my father, in social media, having thousands of them in seconds, having the attention from media from everywhere, knocking doors in my hotel, from local media, wanted to know who was the guy who broke Kilian's record. It was not about, Karl, what time did you do? It was, someone broke Kilian's record. And I was so happy. On the same time, I was still waiting for Nicolas and Ivan. There was a second guy on the mountain that came down that night. So I was worried about them, and I was calling the guards if they have any news about them. As soon as they came together, we were kind of together as a team, and I felt so released that everything went so good. I felt so strong that day, and this was probably the beginning of my speed climber career, because I became for the first time the attention. Brands like Mammut started to contact me from Switzerland, and media that I never had a contact, and I always was reading what they were writing in the world. They wanted the first story, and I was aware that we need to put a name on this project. We need to do something very particular. And then it's the very first time that we said, okay, this is going to be FKT 7, the fastest known time 7 from the 7 summits. And the rules have to be the same, all of them on foot. And this is why Denali, I did it without skis. Everything has to be run from the place where tourists start their journey to the top and back. And the time that matters, it's the round trip time. Of course, if you make the ascent record is nice too, but the real time that matters is the round trip time, because it's a sport that you have to be fit enough to go down. And after that, I went to Europe, and I signed it with Mammut, and it was a beautiful feeling, because Mammut, when I was a kid, and when I was a child with my father climbing Ecuador's mountains, we always had these clients from Germany or from Switzerland, and they were all wearing this Mammut clothing. And I always asked my father for the same clothing, and my father said, like, this is too expensive for us. And I always was wishing all this, I don't know, one Mammut t-shirt or Mammut trousers, and I was having them for years. Every single tourist that left something behind in Ecuador, there was a treasure for me. Like, this is Mammut, this is like a real big band. And then I'm there in the team, Mammut Pro team, and I can order whatever I want. I was like Christmas time. I was like a kid in front of the toy store, like, okay, where should I begin? And then Kilian received me in Chamonix. And from seeing this guy in newspapers, this guy in movies, this LeBron James of basketball, or just there giving me his hand and training with me together, and having his attention and treating me like a friend, I did not know if I was dreaming of, or if this was truth on the end. And this is how everything began. We talked with Kilian about projects, about FKTs, about mistakes when we did the FKTs. And it was funny that kind of, if we would have met years before, I don't know, like this chemistry, the same feelings about the mountain and everything. And then I did one after the other. I did Elbrus, I did Denali, and then of course the pandemic arrived. And the pandemic was by far the most difficult part, because projects were stopped, monies were gone, sponsoring was difficult. So, but on the same time, I had so much time to train that I never had before. I was always competing here, traveling there, going there, and this almost 2 years of pandemic, I really focused myself on training, and the result was Makalu. I was fit, I felt strong, I was waiting for this opportunity to go out there. And right now I'm standing here, 3 to go, Karsten's Pyramid, Vincent and Everest, to complete this kind of impossible project of doing an FKT on every single summit. And of course, I don't have enough money to pay for all of these 3, but as always in life, one step after the other, believing in that things are in one or the other way, even if you have to wait, things are coming and opening up one day. But I'm really focused. I'm really recovered after Makalu. I'm right now already preparing my fitness for the next 3 to come, and I want to do them one straight after the other. So I'm so motivated, and on the same time, I'm so happy that life gave me what I have become. And I always say that on my motivational speeches when I do them here in Ecuador, that even if today would be the last day in this world, I would definitely be so happy, because what I have done so far with my family and everything, I've never believed on it. And if you would have asked me when I was 15 years old, I probably would have laughed. I would have said, like, this is impossible. So right now I'm so happy, and everything coming is a bonus.
Well, it is an extraordinary story. I didn't realize quite. I knew it was extraordinary, but I didn't realize it was quite so, like, you know, the trajectory that you took was so steep. I mean, I was recently in Kilimanjaro guiding with some clients, and we did the 7-day Machame. Everyone had a great time. They all thought it was super tough. And we're in the hotel afterwards, and I said, "What do you think the speed record is for Kilimanjaro?" And I think the closest guess was like 28 hours, something like that, you know. And I said, "It's 6 hours 50, or is it 6 hours 40?
6:42.
6:42." And they just couldn't believe this. They had to re-Google it. They didn't believe me that I said, no, it's Karl Egloff did this in here you go. No, it's extraordinary. And I think that's extraordinary. I think it's extraordinary that you were just even shooting up to the summit in the evening while your clients were resting. I love that. It's extraordinary. I think the Aconcagua one is really the one that makes just people just can't understand, because of the not just the altitude meter gain, but it's a long way also. It's like 50 miles there and back, right? It's a big grind.
And I never did 50 miles in my entire life before Aconcagua, so I was worried if my legs are going to hold and everything. So it's a very mental sport, and Aconcagua is not just the highest mountain in South America. Aconcagua has been providing me a job since many years. I have been guiding there for many years. So I thought if Kilimanjaro was luck, Aconcagua has to be a huge performance, because I know that mountain, probably the only one better than Kilian. So this is why Aconcagua became kind of the most important mountain. And this is why I'm returning this year to Aconcagua to open a new road on Aconcagua, because I want to say thank you to the mountain.
No, it's amazing. I mean, I was going to ask you about the Skyrunner World Series. I mean, you must get invites and wildcards and whatnot, and UTMB must want you to compete. Have you ever taken them up on it, or are you going to, or did the pandemic just put the spoilers on everything?
Well, I'm not 20 anymore, but this is the reason why I decided this year to focus on speed climbing and not to do a double career. I did a double career as a international trail runner on 2019 when I did Denali. And I had something very particular, that when I came down on February 2019 from the south face of Aconcagua, we did there a new speed record with Nicolas, one of the toughest walls in South America. I had frostbite level 3 on my toes. And when I came down from Aconcagua South Wall, the doctor said to me, Karl, probably it's going to be hard that you run again with that toes, that they're going to recover in 6 months to 2 years to be kind of normal again. And I had Segama just a month after that. And I got the invitation from Segama. And I said to my wife, probably they're never gonna invite me again if I don't go. And she said, yeah, but you're injured. And I said, like, yeah, but I want to be there. I want to be there. I want to perform. And I kind of pushed myself too much. And I was there in the starting line of Segama next to Kilian. And of course, he kicked my ass because I was not ready. And my expectations were top 5, top 10, and I came top 50, not feeling my legs almost all the race because they were kind of sleeping because of the pain that I had of my toes came upper and upper and upper and upper. So I did not have much control of my legs. And this was no excuse. I should have not started. That's all. When you are out there, you have just to give it all. And I did not want to quit and anything. So then after Segama, I had all the schedule to run all the Golden Trail series. And on the same time, I had the Nali. On the same time, I had like 2 local mountains in Ecuador. I had such a packed schedule that on the end of the year, I was done. I was not motivated. I just wanted to quit with everything. I said, that's it. I'm too old. Everything was hurting. I was injured for the very first time, everything. And then I said, okay, Karl, look into the mirror. You have to be realistic. You are not 20 anymore. You cannot recover from one day to the other. You are going to get 40 next year. Trail running is definitely something that I love, but I cannot perform on the highest level if I focus on speed climb because I need acclimatization. I need so many hours on the mountains. I need to be for both. Just I don't have the time to do both. And during the pandemic, I did more trail running than speed climbing because I could not leave the country. So I was focusing here in local races, winning them, performing well, and kind of getting faster and faster. And then, of course, I said, Karl, you have to prioritize right now. And definitely the biggest priority right now is to complete my project, the 7 summits in speed climbing. And hopefully one day I will be able to run UTMB or do other long or ultra races that I never have tried. And of course, I want to come back one day to Segama. I'm sure I cannot win it, but definitely perform better. And just doing that for fun, giving my very best in a good day. But I definitely have to be honest to myself and see that in speed climbing, I can do historical things and I have to focus on it right now on my very best years before they are over. And so doing everything else would be just something in the middle of the way.
No, that makes sense. And what about the Cotopaxi Sky Race? Are you involved in the organization? I mean, have you were one of the founders of the race, or you just always been a competitor?
2 things. Cotopaxi is the mountain where everything began. I have a special love to Cotopaxi. I've climbed it probably over 400 times. And you want to keep the speed record there. Tyler Andrews came last year and was very close to beat it. And then I did a better time and he came and was also very close to beat it again. So it has been a very competitive FKT since December. I was able to make a 10-minute faster time. So since then the record is there, and I don't know if I'm able to make it better. But besides all that, it's Nicolas. Nicolas brought me into the scene. It's thanks to Nicolas that I'm here. And I said, I'm going to give everything in my capacity to help you in life. So if he's organizing a race, I'm going to race his race. And if he needs me on press conference to talk about his race, I will definitely do it because it's Nicolas. He provides me coffee, so he gives me everything.
Well, it is amazing, and I think anyone that's climbed Cotopaxi loves seeing your videos, because it's incredible to see running up the summit slope. And I actually messaged Tyler Andrews the other day. He's in Texas at the moment. He's doing some ultra marathon running at the moment. So he's a kind of almost like a hybrid climber, ultra runner, it seems. But extraordinary that you guys. Well, I mean, extraordinary. I think it's great for Ecuador, really, that it's achieving like this international, serious people are coming. Obviously, Ballinger's been doing it for years, but people are realizing it's the most incredible place to climb and to train, or for everything.
Well, living in altitude makes a huge difference on performing. I think, of course, living in altitude is very relative. What is altitude? So I think, of course, living too high, it's dangerous for your body. You can definitely not train that hard anymore. But we are very lucky to have a daily life on altitude, and in an altitude that helps you to perform better. And something that is very special in Ecuador is that everything is so close. So when you are living in a almost 3 million capital, having 1 hour away, mountains like Cayambe, Antisana, Cotopaxi, everything so close, makes it really, really nice. Even on my house mountain where I live, I'm over 3,200 meters, so almost 10,000 feet in altitude. So it helps you definitely for the sport that I practice. Of course, every single sport is different, and in some sports you need more acclimatization than in others. But definitely Ecuador is a great place to train. Also geographically, there are so many up and downs and dirty roads and beautiful landscapes and natures and everything. And as every single other country in the world, Ecuador is by far not perfect at all, politically, corruption, everything. But on the end, living in Ecuador is very nice. What I'm talking about living is that we have just 100 meters from our home, someone who brings fresh fruits, fresh vegetables every single day from very first hand. They are still 30. So they are healthy, and you have this organic food. You have every single day these fresh juices coming from the coast of Ecuador. I make every single morning fresh juice. I make every single morning my fresh eggs. They are still 30. They are not kind of production coming or very produced and everything. And this is healthy to live this way. And in Ecuador, with very little, you can have a good life in Ecuador, regarding food, regarding everything so close, having the coast. I was last week, for example, in the coast, having some chilly days, recovering my body from altitude, because this is something that as a mountain guide you have to do, to go at least twice a year down to sea level. And for the people listening to us, they're going to say like, okay, why? And it's because you have so many red blood cells on your body that you get tired being in the altitude. So after a couple of weeks and months being in the altitude, you start to get kind of sleepy all the time, and you are not eating properly, and you start on very worst scenarios, you start to have heart problems. You start to feel that the heart is hurting, so it's time to go down. And this is very simple. You take a plane or the car, and you are pretty fast on the coast, and you sleep all day, you eat all day because you are tired. And this is something that I really appreciate Ecuador, and something that is by far the most important thing in my case is that I want my kids to grow up in Ecuador because they see the world out there as an opportunity. That means you grow up here in Ecuador expecting one day to study in the States, study in Europe, and you see that as an opportunity. And the other way around, it doesn't work. So you don't see Ecuador as an opportunity if you grow up in Europe. So I prefer my kids to value these little things in life, and to be aware that you have to be the best in the class, that you have to be very best out there. So everything is going to open for you one day. And growing up in an undeveloped country is definitely helping you that.
Well, I have to say, I'm a Ecuador super fan, and I went during the pandemic because it was open. I met you on Antisana, and I just couldn't believe it. And when I tell people about Ecuador, I describe it. I'd say, imagine it's like a Japanese anime film, like these fantasy cartoon films, but it's in real life, where you have these incredible mountains, green, white, like these vivid lakes, but it seems like supernatural, like from a dream world. That is how I describe it. It's like that. It's the most unbelievable place. And in the middle of it is Quito. And one of the best days I had was I did a trail run. I lived in Mariscal, and I did a trail run to the top of Ruku. Not in a great time, but I went from, the center of a city of 8 million people. There's this mountain, this 4,700 meters. And I did it in one day. It took me 10 hours, 45. The concierge in my apartment building, he didn't believe me that I was doing it, but it was incredible. I was just like, this is, the proximity, big city with everything that you could want. The proximity to these high mountains is incredible. And like you said, Cayambe, Antisana, they're 2 hours drive away. It's a dream place for alpinists. And to say that it's a sort of great training ground doesn't actually do it justice, because you could climb it all over the Himalayas and never be as happy as climbing in Ecuador, in my opinion. It's an incredible place.
Well, thanks for this amazing publicity, and that's definitely truth. This is why when I had to take the decision as an athlete to go to Europe and make my living there because of sponsoring, I decided to stay here, because I said I'm never going to find a place to train better than in Ecuador. And exactly what you mentioned right now is going to be my race this Sunday. There's a Ruco Ultra Trail this Sunday. And
okay, I was going to ask you about this.
Way. Yeah, it starts on Quito and goes up to the summits of Ruco and Guagua Pichincha, and then going down to Quito. I'm going to race that race. I've done it in the last 2 years. Amazing. It's amazing because you run up there in the night and you are approaching to the summits on sunrise. So it's beautiful. As you mentioned, it's a whole beautiful world out there, so close from the city.
Where's the starting point?
Teleférico.
Okay.
Where the gondolas start. And actually what you mentioned before, that we met on Antisana, is probably one of my top 5 spots in Ecuador where we met, because just 2 weeks ago I was there camping on the foot of Antisana, and we were driving down with the car, and a puma just came across, and we stopped and we watched this puma hunting the deers, and kind of a Jurassic Park film in the middle of our mountains, just an hour away.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, I think, Antisana is another level. It's, you feel sense of wildness there that you maybe don't have on Cotopaxi, because, there's no refuge, it's a long way to the crampon point. It's, that was probably the best day I had in Ecuador, actually. That day, it was incredible. It's a beautiful place.
It's a beautiful place.
I mean, maybe you're happy for it to stay under the radar, because it's not crowded. I climbed Chimborazo. There was no one else. It was you had the whole thing to yourself. So
absolutely,
it's extraordinary. Are there lots of young Ecuadorian climbers coming through? I mean, is the scene growing there? Do you feel like you've got? Do you feel like you're getting? I mean, obviously, there's you and there's Topo Mena, and then Carla Perez, and obviously Nicolas. But do you feel like there's other superstar alpinists coming through? Are you punching above your weight, considering the size of the country?
I'm sure they are coming, and a lot. Even Nicolas Sky Race, for example, when he started his project, there were just a very few ones who kind of started the race, and this time he was overbooked. He had over 150 starters to race up to Cotopaxi summit. So I'm sure a new generation is coming, and actually, one of the mentors was Ivan Vallejo, because Ivan was the very first Latin American to climb all 14,000 peaks, 8,000 meter peaks without oxygen. He was actually the 7th man in the world to do it. And he opened up the mountains for the locals, because we always, when I was a kid and we climbed Cotopaxi with my dad, nobody speaks Spanish in the refuge. Everyone was from abroad, and the only ones speaking Spanish were the staff working for the refuge. And today, I would say it's almost 80% locals climbing the mountains, and this is very inspiring, very nice to see that people climb their own mountains, and there is so many people every single weekend on these trail running events, and almost every single race is touching 4,000 meters. So there will be definitely much better athletes than we are right now, and I can't wait to see that.
So tell us, when's the Everest attempt? Is that going to be this season coming in the spring season? And what's the route? North side?
Well, definitely yes, north side. We are planning to go together with Adrian and his team, because we felt very good with his team, to Everest north side. This is going to happen probably, I hope so, next year on April, May. And why the north side of Everest? Because it's easy to respond. It's not so crowded. And doing a speed record on Everest, you don't want to be waiting lines. You don't want to overpass fixed lines. You don't want, everything depending on humans. It's enough if you have to depend on the mountain. So definitely we chose the north side, and the record to beat is Christian Stangel's record he made back on 2010, I guess. 22 hours, 17 minutes from Advanced Base Camp Summit, Advanced Base Camp. This is the record to beat. I'm definitely going to plan my preparation here in Ecuador. I felt this time on Makalu that I was not enough acclimatized. So I'm definitely going to do some high altitude sleeping on Chimborazo's summit. We were planning to do 3 or 4 rotations, taking tents and everything to the summit of Chimborazo, and getting better acclimatized. So just arrive on Everest little time. We don't want to spend there 2 months. Just come there when things are perfect to do it. And before, I hope to do Aconcagua, try to beat my own time there as a preparation. And Vincent, Carstens, and right now I'm traveling in 2 weeks to Kilimanjaro, also to try again my FKT after guiding. So probably just to make this next 6 months like my very first priority, to get very good on shape and focus for Everest FKT. Everything I told you is depending on budget, of course. So I hope the budget is coming and we will have this opportunity to do one after the other. And if not, we will definitely jump in some projects and just focus on Everest.
I'm sure it will come. These things, they just snowball. And with everything you've achieved so far, for sure it will come. Tell us about Kilimanjaro. Is it a special place for you? I mean, I go there and I think this is a powerful place. I love it. I think it's incredible. The people as well Absolutely. Are amazing.
Well, exactly. This is exactly what you said. Kilimanjaro without the Africans would not be a special mountain. It would be a beautiful mountain, but not as special it is, because the African touch is just, was hearing them sing everywhere, being smiling all the time, being so helpful to others. This energy, this love makes it so special. I have been 11 times on Kilimanjaro summit, and I'm bringing this time an entire Latin American group with me, so it's going to be fun. And when they are doing safari, just right after climbing Kilimanjaro, I'm going to stay and probably try to, as a training day, to beat my own time. I just want to try it again. Why? Because it was the very first time. It was the very first one. I did a lot of mistakes. I think I have developed as an athlete a lot. I don't know if I can be faster, but definitely smarter.
So what's the route that you go for?
For the record, it's the Umbwe Maweka route.
Okay.
Because it's the fastest one. It's the steepest one. It's the by far the unclimbed one. So probably if you see a couple of people on the route, it's already, you are lucky if you see someone instead of Marangu or all the other ones that there are a lot of traffic. And of course the distance makes a huge difference, because summit gate is 42K. It's exactly a marathon distance, and there is no other road that is so fast and climbing up and down.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure you will do it. I mean, I think one of the
Thank you.
incredible things about alpinism is that you can climb with elite performers. And so people can join you on your trips with Cumbre tours. You're doing, obviously you do Ecuador trips, but you do Kilimanjaro, you do Aconcagua. Are you going to take people elsewhere to Nepal, Pakistan? What else is on the agenda?
Well, definitely, we want to show the world where I have been so far. Hope we can be able to offer Denali and Vincent and all those too. But definitely in Latin America, Peru, Bolivia, Aconcagua, and Kilimanjaro, Everest Base Camp, on those kind of trips, because the Latin American scene is growing a lot. A lot of people want to see the mountains worldwide right now, and this is a good timing.
That's the question I had actually for you, is about climbing in South America, because my sense is that Ecuador is actually more advanced in terms of the provision of good refuges, good guide, very good level of guiding. Where's, other than, obviously Aconcagua, talk about, where do you like to go? Bolivia, Peru, Chile. What are the best challenges you think are in South America? Where would you send people that haven't been, that don't necessarily know it? Obviously Ecuador first, but where else do you like to go?
Well, you mentioned it. Ecuador has a very, very good logistic. You have huts and lodges everywhere, roads everywhere. So it's a good starting point to involve yourself in climbing. And then, of course, I think one of the dream countries to climb is Peru, the Cordillera Blanca, where you have so many amazing peaks there. Many Ecuadorian guides spend their season in Peru, because the alpinism there is like the Alps in Europe. You have very technical mountains, very high mountains. So, but everywhere you go in the Andes, Bolivia or Chile or Peru or Aconcagua, Argentina, everywhere you have amazing mountains. I think this is nice because they are not so crowded. Whatever you're looking for, if you want some commercial mountains or absolutely untouchable mountains, you still find everything in the Andes.
Okay, Karl, I'm not going to keep you for much longer, but final sort of couple of questions. I think you'll obviously finish this project. It will be a huge success, and then you'll think that's it, and then a week later you'll have a new project. Are you going to do complete the 14 8,000ers? Would you like to climb in Pakistan? What ideas have already formed, or are you just focusing on this project and then you'll see?
I would love to try K2 in speed record. This is probably a kid's dream, and there are other things I want to do. I still don't know if to make it a project or a single mountain, but I want to cross the Antarctic. I want to do many things, but I'm not definitely planning to do the 14 8,000 meter peaks, because it would be probably not fair to my family to spend so much money and so much time to do them. Of course, I would love to, but I would love to give them the time that my wife can achieve their dreams and my kids can do whatever they want, and I will be there on the other side, not the one in the spotlight. Yeah.
Well, that's a question I had for you actually, is having a young family, does it make it harder to go away? I mean, do you have less appetite for the big trips now? I mean, do you want to spend more time at home, presumably? It's harder, right?
It's harder, but it's on the same. It's hard to train. It's hard to train. You're gonna just take your things and go out there and be 4 days out there, because it's a teamwork at home. So when you train, you really focus on training. Sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to train, because this is the only time I have before my kids wake up. But on the other side, it's very motivating to see me in my spotlight, like still daddy climbing, still daddy achieving his dreams and not stopping because of them, because this is something that I don't want to do. Like when they grow up and they said, Dad, when I came, you did nothing spectacular anymore. And I said, like, yeah, it's not your fault, but of course he will feel that way. And I want to show him that I keep pushing, I keep risking, but of course in a secure way, and being the best version out there as long as it's possible. But once again, there has to be a deadline. There has to be a point where I said, okay, after this project, we're going to Disney World. We are going wherever you want, or just do something that they wanted to do, and I'm not just in the spotlight anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just answered my last question, but I was going to ask you about the motivation, because I think when people see you doing your things and you make it look easy, like running above 5,000 meters, but presumably there's a huge amount of suffering, struggle. These are incredibly hard things. So, what is the motivation? How do you keep pushing yourself? Like, what are the things that you're saying to yourself when you're in the most darkest, terrible place? Like, what are you telling yourself, and how do you keep doing it every week? And because it's hard to keep these cycles going.
Mm-hmm. The answer is simple. I always have been a very competitive person since I was very little. I remember my sisters hated to play any table games with me, because when I lost, I shut the door in my room and I did not want to see anyone. I was always very competitive, and I was playing so many times until I won. And when I do these FKTs, I always have this double feeling of releasement, and on the other side, like, I did so bad on that part of the mountain. And after Makalu, I came back and I said, like, we were so slow from Camp 4 to the summit. And Nico said, it was okay. And I said, no, we were too slow. We have to get better there. We have to try it again. We have to do better. And this is part of the game. This is why I'm out there. I want to be my best version. In some mountains, I know that it's going to be difficult to take more time, and definitely to take more time means more risk. But in others, I know I can do it better. This is why I'm going to Kilimanjaro. This is why I'm going to Aconcagua. It's not because I want to show the world anything. It's just something between me and me. And this is why I'm out there. This is why I try again and keep training again and everything.
Well, on that, I would say we, the world, like to watch you. It is incredible. I've been up Cotopaxi a couple of times, and I'm in awe of the speed that you move up there. It's incredible. So thank you so much for your time. It's been incredible talking to you. I knew it was an amazing story. I didn't know it was quite so amazing.
Thank you.
We wish you so much luck for the next stage of these projects and for the future projects. And I guess as you begin to slow down slightly on the super competitive stuff, you'll do more guiding. So for people that are interested, they can contact you. Cumbre Tours is your business. I have to say, when I met you in Antisana, I could tell that you were just, super nice guy, inspirational to be around. So I'm sure lots of people will jump on this and think, wow, it would be amazing to climb with Karl Egloff in Ecuador or wherever. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Oliver. Thanks for these amazing and kind words. And I'm not better than anyone. I'm just a normal human, and I'm glad to take others to the mountains and show them my world. And that's it. This is why I'm still guiding, like showing them why I love this so much. And thanks so much for keeping me on the radar. Thanks so much for the opportunity to talk. It has been very nice to spend some time with you, and anytime I would do it again. And I can't wait to have you here in Ecuador and climb together.
Great. Well, after Everest, we should do it again to hear about that story.
Definitely.